Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am CallMeNakomi and welcome back to CallMeNakomi World. I appreciate you guys so much for coming out on YouTube and listening to me on YouTube, on podcasts at CallMeNakomi World, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I really, truly appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for coming back. Today, I'm going to be having my Wheel of Time Season 2, Episode 3 review. I know you guys basically are waiting for me to come out with these things, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm coming. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of things that I'm juggling, guys, so I really appreciate you guys for coming back another time and being here with me, okay? The title of this episode was What Might Be. Of course, we have seen this in the books as chapter titles, and excuse me, we are so happy that they're using chapter titles as the season episode titles. So we're really looking forward to it. Now, getting to the spoiler warning. I'm just going to go ahead and get to that very, very early. I might mention some things here and there, basically. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to spoil anything. I don't really personally feel like I'm spoiling way too much. I'm just basically sometimes pointing out, oh, this was from the books, or that was from the books, or I wonder if this is going to happen. But at the same time, I'm not giving away any real true plot points, any real true storylines, or basically their complete arcs. I'm basically just giving some things that might, stand out to some viewers or some readers, and I appreciate you guys if you catch it. That's my little Easter eggs for you guys, or the Easter eggs that they basically gave us. So that's basically what I'm giving you guys, but I'm not giving away anything. Of course, I'm not giving anything away for the season because I'm only going episode by episode. So I hope you guys enjoy it and stay with me here for it. You probably aren't seeing this if you're a first-time reader anyway, because my channel has always been a full reader episode show, YouTube channel. So, but I hope that you guys can come and watch it, catch the Easter eggs, and stay away if you basically haven't seen it. But at the same time, if you don't really care about spoilers, like some people are, sorry, just now getting over this sinus infection. So hope you guys basically just bear with me for that. But go ahead, if you haven't had a chance yet, like, comment, subscribe, share, rate me, do everything, guys. Do everything. I really, really appreciate you. I'm trying to grow this channel. I'm trying to get you guys out there. I'm trying to stay consistent, and I'm trying to basically just say hi to you guys. So go ahead and do all that wherever you want to see me, everywhere you want to see more of me. You know what I mean? On the podcast, go ahead and rate me. On the channel, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Let's interact. Let's start a discourse, and let's go. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead and dive right in. We start off basically with the Two Rivers Gigolo, Randall Hoare. My bad, guys. I'm trying not to do any slut shaming for any fantasy characters out here. That's my New Year's resolution, which I'm starting very, very early. But at the same time, this stuff writes itself. This content basically writes itself. But so, my bad if you guys take offense, but I'm having fun with it. Of course, I love Rand. And of course, he basically, gets down with whoever basically wants to go down. Anyway, so basically, Rand, he's there and he's basically bringing Logain his breakfast in the morning at the asylum, and he's sitting in the courtyard, and he points out that Rand basically has been cutting his hair low and keeping his red roots from showing. I know basically, sometimes it's very, very hard to stop your roots from showing. I've basically gone ahead and embraced my gray roots because I'm not a spring chicken. So, but Rand, in that way, he notices that more and more people are starting to notice that he has red hair, which is something that is mostly Aiel have this, and Aiel has a bad rap, of course, all over the whole entire world. Aiel have a bad rap because of the fact of the Aiel War. So Rand is basically trying to deal with that, but so he keeps his hair low, but people are noticing. Obviously, Logain has this, definitely noticed, and he wonders what happened to the old orderly, who he used to bring me wine for sour oats. I don't know what the hell sour oats is. I'm just like, okay, whatever. But the orderly giving wine to his charges Not saying it's something I do, but he's still a man of my own, after my own heart. He also notices, Logain also notices that Rand has obviously been wanting to ask him something. He, ingratiates himself with the asylum, and somehow has maneuvered his way into being his attendee. So, what's good? Go ahead and ask me. He's been working his way to it, but Ren obviously denies it. Like, well, what were you talking about? I haven't been doing anything. But Logain's not going for it at all. Plus, besides, Logain remembers him from seeing him in Tar Valon when he was being paraded by the Aes Sedai when he was captured and already severed from the source. Why do I whenever I come to this show, I keep on forgetting exactly gentled? That's basically how the term that's used in the book. He was gentled already, but he saw Rand and he said that he could see the glow of a man channeling, and he could see that glow was even greater than his. So he just started to laugh, and I thought that was absolutely a great little callback from book 1. Anyway, so are you going to ask me, basically, and you're here. You can't basically tell me that doesn't mean anything, just ask. He's basically asking Rand. And what Rand finally breaks down and wants to ask him, he wants to know how to control the one power. And Logain basically laughs and is just like, you know what I want? Some Gildanan red wine in return. I'm not mad at it. We love our wine. This isn't wine, it's beer. But basically, he wants some red wine from his hometown in return, and I'm not mad at it at all. He's like, I'm gonna get some Gildanan red in Kyrie, and he's like, figure it out, son. You figure it out. That ain't my problem. You want something from me? That's what I want from you. So as Rand leaves the asylum, he sees a gleeman out in amongst the people, and it's not our favorite gleeman, Tom Maryland, but he's there and he has the patches and he's reciting the Hunt of the Horn, which is great because, that's basically what's going on right now. They have called the Hunt of the Horn, and in Kyrian, they actually have another aspect to the Hunt of the Horn where they actually give a reward to whoever brings the horn back to Kyrian. Sure. Anyway, these people are lining up to basically get branded with a horn, which is actually kind of cool. That actually looked like a kind of a cool tattoo to have, but maybe not for my skin. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind that. It actually looked pretty cool. It looked pretty cool. And they're just lining up and pledging themselves and getting branded, and they're hopeful to basically claim a piece at that whole prize. Men and women also are basically lining up, and that's crazy. He sees Celine outside of her inn and tells her that he's looking for a Gildanan red wine. But she's just like, why? And he's just like, not going to tell her. He's basically keeping a lot of stuff close to the cuff, so I'm not mad at it. She offers, though, to help him find it. So, but says, first, you need a better coat. Yes. And then later on at the dinner where she takes him to, which is why he needs a better coat, he's basically running around or, walking amongst bloody noblemen all over the place, women and men right to the left and to the right of him. And he feels like they're all looking at him. And Rand finds himself, he feels a little weirded out by him. And the coat that Celine ends up getting him is a beautiful coat. It's a fancy red coat with gold embroidered herons around the cuff and the collar. Beautiful. Matt would definitely approve. And of course, like what I would assume he would have gotten from Faldara. That's basically kind of what I would assume that it would look like. Of course, he wouldn't put dragons embroidered on it because he wasn't supposed to be known yet. But the herons, very good touch. He thinks people are staring at him, like I said, because they crashed the party. Of course they crashed the party. That's absolutely awesome. But no, they're just curious, wondering, this outland lord, and he's handsome, and they're wondering what is he doing there, and how can they use him? Of course, the game of houses, that's basically what they do in Kyrian. And women are trying to, slide up in his papyrus DMs. That's basically what they're doing. They're sliding him invitations, and Celine, gives him an invitation and walks off to go retrieve the wine when he asks, is wine here? And as she does, another lady walks up to Rand and tells him to be careful of those women sliding in his DMs, because beware of those friend requests. Until right now, you don't want to start that slide down a horrible path. And instead of that, he burns his phone. He burns his invitation. Can't be having any evidence in the phone, so you got to sacrifice something. So he decides to burn an invite, and but she's still being nosy, trying to find out, where'd you come from, and so he. They're just basically, he's not giving anything away. And so they go on to another topic, and they start talking about the hunt for the horn. And she lets him in, she clues him in that, the hunt for the horn is fake. They're basically just trying to clear more people out of the Ford Gate. And there's no way to do that but to get them to leave, because, it would start a riot basically if they were to come in and basically just throw people out of the Ford Gate. So, he's basically not really giving her too much back in return, but he's listening. And then Celine returns, and she has the wine and is laughing at Rand, unfortunately, because he actually has a heart and is concerned about the people basically tried to be forced. The people who they are trying to be forced out of the Ford Gate. He has a heart. He's concerned about them, but she's like, "Aw, you sweet little boy." So anyway, he got what he wanted, and he decides to basically just deuces and leaves her there. Even though she's just like, where are you going? And so, but he doesn't, he just is like, I'm leaving. So, later on, and she's just like, "You're going to miss the fireworks." And I was like, ooh, that's another thing from the books, from Hunt of the Horn. Go ahead and read the books, guys. I know I'm trying to keep this nice and clean and sanitized for you guys, but the books is such a wealth of information to give you so much more that you're going to basically get from the story, from the series. But at the same time, it's nothing like the book series. So go ahead and do that. Do yourself a favor and go ahead and read the books, guys. So basically, he ditches her and ditches his fantasy coat, of course, and goes immediately to go see Logain, because he can't wait to scratch that itch and figure out exactly how to control it. And, Logain can see that he's been struggling to with the urge to channel. He's been fighting it, and of course, if you have heard from the books, it is very, very hard to even fight the urge to use the power. It's enticing. It's like ecstasy, not the drug, but maybe like a drug. You just basically want to feel everything, and that is the one power. That's exactly how it feels. But he's just like, you can't fight it for a long time. It's basically sooner or later it's going to win, and it won't go away. So, you just have to basically figure it out and deal with it. And it can't be contained. Sooner or later, it will spill out. And he basically demonstrates that by pouring the wine that Rand just got him into a cup, and his cup runneth over onto the floor. And it's just like, dude, you're wasting all the good wine. What is your problem? But I just wanted to cry, but Logain goes on to basically say that there is no madness. He's trying to fight off the madness, but Logain's like, there is no madness. It was created by the Aes Sedai to keep men in, to poison the mind of the world, to keep men castrated, and which is funny, because I don't know if it's basically about the madness. I definitely believe that the madness is real, but at the same time, I do kind of believe that there is certain things that, in my opinion, the Aes Sedai basically did to turn the world, to even consider men, not even just, men who can channel, but to can kind of make people mistrust men more. And I personally don't like that. That's something that I always felt about the books, and I'm hoping that I mean, hey, they demonstrated it, and obviously it's going to come across. And I'm glad that Logain said that, because it kind of helps to bring along that idea about it too, where, you know, they need to kind of regain that trust. You need to rebrand, you know, guys, you know, channelers, you need to rebrand, you know what I mean? So anyway, he tells Rand that he is Luz Therin Telamon, reborn, and he knows that he's a dragon, and Rand is like, you're not the dragon, bro. You're not the dragon. But anyway, he tells Rand basically that he should get him out of there, get Logain out of the asylum. He's the only one who could teach him, and that's actually a really good idea. I'm not mad at that at all, you know. But Rand walks away telling him that he's sick. Anyway, and yeah, he's a little crazy. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. Who isn't crazy? I'm crazy. You're crazy. We're crazy together. You know, maybe we, you know, basically he says, what we can't hide from what we are. And yeah, you basically kind of have to embrace the crazy. And that's sort of the wheel of time. Embracing the crazy in spite of whatever comes along. You know, you just got to keep fighting. So Rand returns home to, you know, to find his sugar mama still waiting there up for him. And immediately she goes into Glenn Close mode. She basically is just like, you will not leave me. Anyway, she just goes crazy on him a little bit, you know, pins him against the wall a little bit. Like she's all like, kind of like, it just feels like she just might as well have said, you belong to me and I will not return you to the store. You know, even I have the receipt, but you will not go back. And she asks him, she's just trying to keep him on his heels, you know, it just feels like, and literally jumps his bones. Literally, she jumps into his arms, and Rand, good job, you caught her. That's great. He, you know, so bravo on that basically, but she starts to do some kind of, it feels like voodoo, where she's just like, show me. And I'm just like, wow, bro, she is on another level. I don't know if you're ready for that. You're dealing with, you know, you're used to dealing with Two Rivers women, you know what I mean? This is a whole nother high lady level of kink, you know, but you got to keep up. So keep up, bro. Keep up. And he can't help it as she's just channeling it. And his walls break down and he just starts to channel and he loses control, you know? And now, you know, he can't put it back in his pants. It is what it is. He can't put it back in his pants now that it's out. And, she's singing to him, like, basically, like, let it go, let it go, let it go. And Rand is just going with it. You know, I get it. And he just loses himself in the swirl. It is what it is. You know, and she must put him, she must have put him back to sleep, you know, because, he wakes up later on in the evening, but finds out basically that, he must have left a cigarette lit and went to sleep with it in his hand, because he wakes up to the wind, to the end, basically on fire, just flames, just rising up, and it's coming from him. Obviously, he knows it's coming from him, and he ends up burning the end down. But him and Celine are able to escape, and you know, I just feel like, you know, come on, Rand, you got to control it. You got to control it. Your pull-out game is very weak, son. Your pull-out game is very weak. You need to control it. You know, pull it back, put it back in the box when you're done with it. Realize when you're getting close, pull back, son. That's it. I mean, just a couple of pointers. Not that I know what that's like, but at the same time, you know, babies all around the world. Anyway, he's basically putting people out of house and home. Very Taviran to me. I kind of feel like it speaks to me of kind of like, you know, book 3, the kind of crazy rogue Taviran stuff. I'm not going to really go into too much details on that. But you know, it's kind of like an inn burns down and then they find gold to build it back even bigger and better. It's just the kind of things that basically happen with Rand. So anyway, moving on to another scene is basically we're back with the hunters, and the Shan-Chan has them all as captives, rounded up in a little bit of a clearing in the little town next to the river. And a high lady, which is sitting on her palanquin, just looking, just very, very, ominous up there. She twitches her fingers, and just like they're so crazy long. I'm just like, what do you do with those fingers? This made me feel of like Coco from SWV. Like, how do you wipe? That's my only question. That's my only question. And she twitches her fingers, and a Damani gets out of nowhere with a little, crazy thing in her mouth, and walks off forward towards into the crowd. And she's followed by a Suldam, I'm assuming, which looks kind of weird. The Suldam looks kind of cowed, and the Damani looks like she's in charge. And so I'm just still trying to figure out, okay, I need more of an explanation of how that dynamic works. And she's followed also by some soldiers. And she goes through the crowd, and she starts picking out women seemingly from random, and they're being taken into custody by the other soldiers. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, yeah, where's the collar with the Damani from the books? The collar, usually the Damani has a collar on, and the Suldam basically has on a little matching bracelet when they're attached by a chain, but maybe they wanted to avoid that whole chain thing. I get it, and try not to offend too many people. But anyway, the Damani has a golden gag ball in her mouth, and she's walking around, and the high lady twitches her fingers again, and another woman who is standing at the right of her steps forward, and she addresses the crowd and says, yeah, obey, obey seasoning and, service with a smile, all that good stuff, and she kind of has a Southern American accent, which I thought was cool because it's a little bit different. Everybody else in the show has like a British accent or, European accent. But she, I just thought that was interesting. And Uno's just like, I'm not doing that. And it's like, nope. And is planning on stopping them off from grabbing these women with a knife that he was actually able to conceal somehow. He's, planning on starting something. And what's his name? Inktar is basically like, chill, bro. You gonna get us all killed if you don't chill. Like, you gonna try to do something? But while he's trying to get Uno under control, a female soldier with part of her face, painted, with black makeup, approaches, and I'm just more interested in finding out more about the the dynamic and the levels basically in the Shanchan society. And she walks up to him and approaches, and she selects Uno to be the first one to kneel before the high lady. And he is fighting at first, and is at the same time he ends up just like, get off me, and he's dragged to the palanquin next to a really, really big, and is kind of forced to, and they're asking him to kneel in front of a huge golden horn at the steps of her, at the bottom step of her palanquin. And he's just like, nope, he ain't gonna do it, and he won't swear the oaths. And then so the soldiers grab him and impale his head on the horn. I was like, dang, R.I.P. Uno, that was quick. Ain't nobody safe. Let me find out. Wheel of Time is trying to go Game of Thrones. Kill crazy. Not really kill, but definitely not something I was expecting. So R.I.P. Uno. Everybody right after that decides to say, my bad, we go ahead and kneel. It might take me a while. My knees is old, they decide to get down. My fault. Except for Perrin. He's just like, this is some bullshit. And so he's basically just like, at first, but Inktar is just like, stop playing around and get down here. You know what I'm saying? It's better to do this than to die from pride. And it's true. You know what I'm saying? Kneel now, just like everybody does in the books, but let me not go there. But anyway, he catches the eye when he's basically reluctantly kneeling down. He catches the eye of Ishi. Remind you, he's on the other side of the lady, on the high lady who's up there. So later on, I don't know what happened, but Perrin basically wakes up in a carriage, and Ishi's right there. I'm sorry, Ishi. Let me go ahead and explain that. I might say Ishi here and there because I'm trying not to say Ishamayel because it's a little bit tongue twister-ish. So instead of saying Ishamayel, I'm just going to say Ishi for short. So Ishi's basically in the carriage with him, and he's just like, who are you? And the man is just like, I'm the man standing between you and the spike. I thought that was hard. That line right there goes hard, for real, for real. He is part of he tells Perrin that he's part of a caravan heading for Farm. I always said Farmer. It just feels, I'm a audiobook girl, so I like Farmer. But anyway, Farm, either way, they're heading there with the High Lady Suroth, and he is an honored guest, apparently. Nothing to be honored about. That's mad sus. Figure that out. Sus. Did that sound old as hell, saying sus? I don't care. You know what I'm saying? My daughter basically tries to reclaim stuff that we've been saying for years, and I'm just like, whatever, son. Anyway, sus. So she tells him that nothing good awaits you in Farm. And yeah, I agree. So he, of course, he's the father of lies, but I believe him on this one. And he knows Perrin is special in some way. He says he didn't really see it at first, but he recognizes it now. It's in the eyes, and he might be actually familiar with what's going on with Perrin, Perrin is a wolf brother. In case you haven't gotten that or didn't see that in books, or he's a wolf brother. And it seems as though Ishi's a little familiar with that. So I think it's kind of cool. He's asking him, show me, Perrin. Show me the monster. I want to meet the monster. And it's like, geez, between Ishi and Celine, I'm just like, come on, guys, show me the show me state. What's that? What's that? Missouri? Show me state? Yeah, they from Missouri. And I really like the actor that's playing Ishi. I feel like he is a great. He's Faris. That's the actor playing Ishi, and I think he's doing a great job. Definitely expanding upon the character of Ishamayel from the books, who was just like a mustache twirling kind of character. But I feel like he's definitely expanding upon that, and I really, really appreciate that. Then Perrin basically does his best DMX voice to say, "Who are you?" It kind of almost reminded me either of DMX or of Heath Ledger in Dark Knight. Who are you? It was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I was like, okay, Perrin, go ahead and get deep with it, son. Then Perrin recognizes him from his dreams, and he's the Burning Man from the dreams. And he's like, "You're dead." As far as what he was told, and he calls bullshit basically. When he references Moraine by name, and he's just like, "How do you know Moraine?" He's just like thinking to himself, like he just doesn't believe it exactly. And we hear wolves out of nowhere in the background, and they start coming through the woods. We see them, approaching the caravan, and sooner or later the caravan has to stop because it's being harassed. Is a word I guess you could use, by the wolves. And Perrin says, "I already gave you my lunch money. What more do you want from me?" Trying to plead with him, like, "Ishi, what do you want from me, bro?" And Ishi warns him, "The more you are wolf, the more you are mine." And I'm like, damn it, Ishi. Trying to push him from what he needs to do, bro. I'm just like, let's let the man live. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, I'm like, burn you, father of lies. Burn you. With your reverse psychology you're trying to pull on Perrin. He's a young lad from the Two Rivers. He doesn't know your high class ways. Then he leaves, with him still locked up, of course. He basically just does one of these. And I'm like, dang, Perrin, he just left you like that, still locked up and stuff like that. I'm like, geez, how's he gonna get out? But of course, Elias swoops in out of nowhere, onto the carriage that he was on and frees Perrin. I'm like, free Perrin. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Perrin shouldn't be locked up at all. He needs to run free, fly away, fly away. Elias basically just starts growling again and sounds like DMX to me again. I'm just like, okay, where my dogs at? You know what I'm saying? Where my wolves at? All right, I'm here for it. You know what I'm saying? And the man Elias has blood around his chin and stuff like that. And they walk out and they see a guard looks like his whole neck has been torn out. And I'm just like, was that you or the wolves, bro? All right, you're taking this a little bit too far, but do your thing if that's basically what you like. I hate that taste. I mean, hey, if I got a cut on my finger, but I mean, I can imagine taste of blood would probably make me gag if I had to drink blood. Yeah, not my alley. I'm good, thank you. Appreciate you. And Elias gets him out of the cart, frees him, takes him off into the woods, and then he tells him to follow that wolf right there. And there's a wolf sitting right there waiting for Perrin, and tells him to follow the wolf. And Perrin's like, "Yo, I can't leave. Loyal and the others are still captive." But Elias basically hits him with the, "You can't save him from a cage." True. So Perrin does what he's supposed to do. He reluctantly goes with the wolf. So that's good. Anyway, so on to the next scenes. You have Leandrin, and she's standing in Matt's cell. I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but I just want to keep it to a nice simple storyline for that specific character or characters in certain scenes, and just try to group them together. I feel like that might flow a little better. But so Leandrin is weirdly standing in the middle of Matt's cell while he's sleeping. I don't think Matt's way too good to basically be sitting around sleeping while somebody's standing around in his room and he don't know the person's there. Hit me up on in the comments and tell me if you basically have woken up with someone staring at you in your sleep. It's creepy as hell, but I feel like Matt would have noticed if Leandrin was standing there. But I digress. I kind of feel like he was faking. Anyway, she tells him that today they lost a woman of incredible power. We'll get to that later. Someone that she respected. And now the door is wide open for him and he's free to go. And he's just like, bullshit. There's a lot of bullshits today, but it's okay. He doesn't believe her. And she reminds him that all he's wanted to do is leave since he got there. And now you're reluctant, son. And she tells him that, Egwene is here and needs a friend right now. But that the woman who died needed her help, but she wasn't there because of him. Really? You're gonna blame Matt? This kind of that whole this playing games with people's minds, man. It's just like, really, and playing around with Moraine's little secret. Come on, son, that was all on you. That wasn't him. So don't try to basically, try to mess with his head, And she twists the knife a little bit deeper, saying that, he was a coward for leaving them. Jeez. This hitting them with haymakers right and left, she says at the end, you don't matter. You don't matter, and so she leaves Matt there for a while. And later Matt is walking, through the tower, just trying to test, I get that little bit of freedom. And he sees Egwene, and she's crying, but he doesn't go to her. He doesn't approach her. He just basically returns back to his cell. And he decides to rescue Min instead. He pulls out the bricks and he's like, come over here. I need you to see something. She gets over there and she's just like, the door's open. What you still doing here? And he's like, I don't know where to go. I don't have anywhere else to go. Anyway, but she's just like, it's time to walk through the door. And she's like, I'm not waiting for you. And so she basically dips and he ends up having to follow. This is what it is. Later on, Min liberates some horses, and she leaves him with the horses, and she's saying that she has to go pick up one more thing, and just leaves him with the horses. But what is she doing? She goes to meet up with Leandrin. What? Shocker. I wasn't ready for that one at all. Leandrin basically said that Leandrin basically set the whole entire thing up. She frees Matt. She put Min in the cell next door. She knows that basically sooner or later he's gonna, come across her. It's diabolical. I give the writing for Leandrin great props because it's kind of leading it down the same path, but at the same time in a different way. And I like it because it's expanding the characters that we had that was kind of not exactly throwaways, but at the same time, characters that definitely could be bigger, have bigger parts in the story. So I really appreciate it. So basically, she's made a deal with Leandrin to free herself from Moraine. I'm not exactly sure how she's planning on freeing herself from Moraine, but for some reason, Min is going along with it. Anyway, so to the last group of scenes, of course, we got to get to the big thing. The opening scene of the whole entire show, which I believe is the opening scene. Maybe it wasn't the opening scene, but anyway, I think it was the opening scene. Of course, is Nynaeve's accepted test. They ended with it, at the end of last episode, with a cliffhanger, and they come back in right with the accepted test. I'm glad you did that because I was very, very curious to see how this was going to go. So Nynaeve is standing there, half naked and afraid, standing in her shift alone, and she steps up towards the ter'angreal, and they give her the whole, spiel. The way will come but once. Be steadfast. Yeah, got it, and all that, And the ter'angreal is there, sitting there, and that it brings out your fears. And they ask her one last time, "Are you sure you're ready?" And she's just like, "Let's go." So she walks in, and the first trial that she has, is she's out in the field. And she has her natural hair out and loose, and it's blowing in the wind. It looks absolutely beautiful. I absolutely love it. The fact that they're using her natural hair and just letting her just be free and be herself. Shout out to the creators and the producers and the cast and the costume and the hair people. She's absolutely beautiful. I love Nynaeve, and I love everything that you guys are how you guys are presenting her to the world. I really appreciate you guys for that. And she's basically, it's blowing in the wind, and she's giving Diana Ross, honey. I love it. It's just big. I love the big hair. And out of nowhere, her dad walks up and, and sees something in her hand, and it's some crimson thorn root. And so he brushes it out of her hand and says that it's poisonous. So, he takes her to, a stream to wash her hands and tells her, remember, red is dead. Good to know. I'm going to have to remember that myself. I wonder if that applies to real life. It probably does. And she looks down at herself in the stream, and she sees that she's a child in this trial. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. It's pretty interesting. She sees her reflection, and so out of nowhere, bandits come and start chasing them, and it's chasing them through the woods, firing arrows at them, and the mom comes out of nowhere and uses her Two Rivers archery skills, and it's like bow, bow. And it's taking them out right and left, and Nynaeve is running and helping her dad up, and they run to the house, and they lock themselves in, and the mom takes her down to the her dad takes her down to the cellar and locks her downstairs, or just takes her down there basically, and she just has to sit down there, and through slats in the wood floors, she has to sit there and watch her mom die and hear her parents die. And she can't do anything because out of nowhere, the arches appear. The way back will appear but once. So she has to leave him, and she goes back through. She gets out. They dash her with some water, and you're free of the sins, whatever. Anyway, to the next trial, she's just like, you can't stop. You got to keep going. So she goes right into the next trial, and she goes to the next trial, and Matt's mom is the wisdom and the Two Rivers in her absence. And I don't know. I didn't know much about anybody else who, is in the Two Rivers, but Natty Cawthon decided to take up those responsibilities. But she's poisoning people. So some type of sickness basically took the whole entire town, and I don't know exactly if it's from inexperience or incompetence, but she's poisoning people, and they're not getting better, and she has no other way basically to help them out but to administer crimson thorn root to help them have painless deaths. And I'm just like, sheesh. Okay, no healthcare. Come on, guys, get it together. Andor, universal healthcare. Get on that. So Tam is sick, and he's in a bed, and it's just like, it's okay. Tell me about Rand. Is he okay? And I'm hoping that he's all right. And I'm glad that you're here, Nynaeve, and you could stay with us, here. And she's being torn up inside, and she tries to channel, but she can't channel inside of the ter'angreal. But she tries to channel, and it's kind of a callback from the first books where she couldn't channel at the time, but she couldn't heal Tam. So it's kind of a callback. But the arches come back again, and she must leave her home once again. So I'm sure that is basically tearing her up. She can't help it. She comes out. She's asking them, needing to go to the Two Rivers to save them. There's a plague, and it's killing people. And they're just like, nope. Here comes the next one. Here comes the haymaker. So she goes in for the third and final one. And I swear to you, I don't know what I saw. It looked like she was falling through the void for a time, and she hears Lan's voice in the background. You're a lioness, Wisdom. And it's here, she's wearing a red dress, and her hair is in many braids like Leandrin, and she actually has on a red stone serpent, Aes Sedai serpent ring with a red stone in it. And I was like, wait, what? Nah, nah. She's holding her ears as if someone basically had put a mic to a speaker. She can't, and she's just kind of screaming silently. And there's a bunch of jump cuts here and there, and it looks like someone is committing a murder is being done. So, but I can't really figure out what's going on. And then out of nowhere, she comes out of the arches, and she's covered in blood, and she's holding Lan's Hadori in her hand, in a bloody hand, and she's like, what the just happened? She has no memory of what happened, but they're just like, hooray, you passed, yay. But she's not okay. She's not fine. you know, So she decides that, out of all this stuff that's going on, she can't take it. It's just manipulative. And she's just like, I don't want the ring. I don't want the tower. I'm Ghost. I'm going to leave. So she wants to go home, and she decides to saddle up her bags and tells Egwene that, this is for you. You'll be fine. And this is all for you. It's yours. And she decides to saddle up her bags and hit the road. And I'm just like, okay, what's going on, writers? What kind of curveball? That's a kind of curveball you're gonna swing and miss. I'm like, what's going on? I feel it. I was like, okay, no doubt. I'm here for the shits. Let's see where it goes. You know what I mean? It makes sense, that because without Moraine being there, really, there's no kind of real, driving force for her to basically, beat Moraine, as was her, her goal in the series, in the book series. But I'm here for it, and she decides to ride out of the tower, and so lucky. You would think that she's Torvarin. She runs into Lan, what luck. And so she tells him that she's planning on going back to the Two Rivers, and he asks, like a good little boy, if he could come too. Yes, like a good little boy. And she's just like, of course you could go. Then I started thinking to myself, like, what if the third trial didn't end? What are we seeing here? You know what I mean? And I'm just like, because I'm like, what was that? And then the arches appears behind her, and I'm like, see, she hasn't finished yet. And that was like, well done, bravo, writers. That was absolutely awesome. You are doing an amazing job with this series, with this season. I mean, absolutely on point. You're not missing at all yet. You know what I mean? I'm just like, shout out to y'all. Absolutely. We stand by you, hold out. You guys, this entertainment industry doesn't go anywhere without you guys and your creativity. So hold steadfast. And you guys, you have my approval already, So Nynaeve, she sees the archways, but she decides, F that, I'd rather stay with Lan. And so she and Lan basically go back to the Two Rivers, and she doesn't come out. And on the other side of the arches, they're patiently waiting, like, is this chick not going to come out? Wow, we just lost the strongest channeler in 1,000 years. Leandrin's pissed, and Sheriam is just like, it's your fault. I'm blaming you for this. And so she walks out. Leandrin breaks the jar of water, and, is just like, miscalculation. Absolutely. Later, Egwene comes to Nynaeve's, is going to Nynaeve's room with Elaine, and they're trying to walk off a hangover, and Elaine's just like, I thought that, an innkeeper's, daughter would have a better tolerance than this, but I guess she's a lightweight. She hasn't been really dipping. I know if I was the innkeeper's daughter. Yeah. Did I just do that? I did just do that. Anyway, okay. Here we go. That would have been me as the innkeeper's daughter. Anyway, she can't handle her liquor. So they go to Nynaeve's room to find out what's going on with Nynaeve. And they see Sheriam packing up her thing. And Sheriam is just like, I didn't mean you to find out this way, Egwene. But tells her that she didn't come out of the arches. She went in and didn't come out. And Egwene's just like, what are you talking about? I saw her this morning. And Egwene's just like, we must do something. And Sheriam's like, relax, chick. There's nothing we could do. You'll get over this in due time. This too shall pass. And it's like, woo woo, woo woo woo. You'll be fine. And she leaves. Egwene is basically beside herself and can't believe it. And she is just, in shock. And Elaine tries to calm her and console her a little bit, but she kicks Egwene out of Nynaeve's room and is just wants to cry alone. So understandable. Later, Egwene finds Liandrin at the big, huge cauldron where they have molten gold there, where they basically send they put the rings back in when a Aes Sedai has died, and she confronts Liandrin. Brave ass chick. She shows guts and gets up in her face and casts blame on Liandrin, saying, you were pushing her too hard. This is all on you. And Liandrin is just like, little girl, talk to the hand. I don't got no time for it, and tries to leave. But then Egwene is bold enough to basically block her way with fire. And I'm just like, ooh, girl, you broke several tower rules right there. I'm sure she did, by using, channeling and, trying to talk to a full-fledged Aes Sedai like that. I'm like, okay, you bold as hell, girl. And blocks her way from leaving with fire. But Liandrin turns around and backs her down real quick. She wasn't ready for that kind of smoke. And almost backs her down right off the tower. She all the way to the edge, and she realizes, whoa, okay, let me chill. And then she says, it's not always the strongest women. Liandrin tells her, it's not always the strongest women who write history, but the ones who survive. Remember your place. Be smart, and you just might survive. Pretty much, she tells her. And Egwene is like, still doesn't back around, and she basically tells him, you don't know shit about me. I'll be done whenever I want to be. And she does. And so she goes and does something dumb. Back to, she goes on off her own and tries to bring Nynaeve back on her own, and it's not working. Obviously, she's channeling and sending weaves, and I'm just like, how does she even know what weaves to throw at the ter'angreal? I'm like, they don't just basically have that in a handbook somewhere, or maybe they do, but I'm sure that's something you definitely learn later on in your learning as an Aes Sedai, exactly what weaves to use with ter'angreal. There is no YouTube channel for ter'angreal use. Egwene. Anyway, she's there and she's failing, and sooner or later, Elaine finds her and is there to basically tell her, I told you so, but is still there to be her friend and to help her. So Egwene is still being stubborn as an old root, but Elaine reminds her of the dangers of channeling into those ter'angreal. You could burn yourself out, you could die, so chill. Also mentions that she heard about the attacks in the Two Rivers and about their story, and I'm like, okay, y'all late as hell, but y'all, at least the word, got back to Caemlyn. That's good, good to know, Egwene doesn't want to leave the room. She just basically still wants to be close by. And so Elaine, offers to go get some blankets, and that's really nice. But then they go back to Nynaeve in her, her ter'angreal hamlet in the Two Rivers, on her staycation, and Perrin is basically doing his Uncle Fester routine, chasing her daughter around the yard. And he gives the girl a wooden needle, call back to, Arya from Game of Thrones gives her a needle, a wooden needle, and she says that she wants to ask Lan to teach her. I'm just like, oh, that's so sweet. And then Matt rides up on a horse, and he gets off the horse, and I'm just like, there's spots all over the horse. It almost looks like Pip's. And I'm like, oh, I see what you guys are doing there. But that's not the horse that he leaves with men with. So I'm just like, okay, let's see if Pips comes back later. That'll be so dope. I'm just like, okay, Nynaeve, are you having prophetic dreams? Let me find out. He comes off his horse and said that he's brought honey cakes. Of course, Matt has brought honey cakes. That's his favorite thing. And it's a perfect world, in her new world in her ter'angreal Two Rivers, and she's talking to Lan as in their house, and saying that how Egwene's is a green, and they're chasing Trollocs and Saldaea as they always chase Trollocs and Saldaea, and Lan asks her if she has any regrets, and I kind of feel like in her, in her mind, I feel like she does have some regrets, or at least she doesn't specifically, voice them. But I feel like she does have some regrets that she didn't finish or go, or or whatever. And they're having this conversation when out of nowhere, a Trolloc does a winter's night and busts through their front door, ruining dinner. Thanks, Trolloc. Thank you, Shadow Spawn. Ruining dinner once again for everyone. She hides her daughter, kind of like exactly what her dad did to her in her first trial. Hides the daughter in the cellar, and she grabs the axe and heads back upstairs. And she hears, bedlam going on upstairs. So she grabs the axe, heads back upstairs. She goes outside and sees a Trolloc and axes him in the back immediately. And while that Trolloc was basically eating Matt's guts, a one-eyed Matt, mind you, a one-eyed Matt, is just dead on the floor, and the Trolloc was eating his guts. She axes him in the back and moves on to the next one. And another Trolloc is deciding to, practice his axe throwing skills and hits Perrin square in the chest. And I'm like, show off. You're good at this. Damn show off. But she's going around and seeing what's going on, and she sees Lan, and Lan is being outmatched by 3 Trollocs. And I'm just like, you see what good living and married life does to you? You're getting some good loving and good living at your house, and next thing you know, you get fat and lazy and slow. And I've seen that man take on 3 men by himself and kill them all. He gets bested by 3 Trollocs. Just bad news, absolutely. He could do that without breaking a sweat back in the day, but they kill him instead. So she's there, wrapped with grief. She starts screaming, and she channels, and basically blows all the shadow spawn away. And as she's there with Lan and, cradling him, her daughter walks up and is just like, "What's that, Mommy?" That's not exactly what she said, but that's pretty much what she said. And she looks over to her shoulder and sees an arch appeared. What? Okay. I'm thinking to myself, like, is that from Egwene channeling into the arches? Did she actually kind of give it enough juice to kind of reconnect it to Nynaeve? I'm thinking that might have been done. I mean, you never know. I mean, maybe because of the personal connection with the Nynaeve. I mean, I'm sure there's thousands of women who have died and been lost in the ter'angreal, but somehow that connection gets remade, and she sees the arches, and she also sees a mess of Trollocs coming out of the woods, and is living nothing but a fiery wake. A fiery mess in their wake, and so she does what she has to do. She grabs her daughter and stumbles through the ter'angreal as fast as she can back into the Tar Valon side. And when she gets there, there's no child in her hand. She still has a huge blood stain on her shift, and it's just hit with the raw emotions of the memories of what she had to endure while she was there. And she starts sobbing with her hands just frozen in that position to hold her child to her chest. And I'm just like, my heart goes out to her, because I wouldn't want to imagine what that feels like to have your child taken away from you. And Egwene and Elaine are woken up by her and her crying, and comes over. I don't know why keeps on coming back in. Comes over to to console her and holds her in her hands. And she collapses and just breaks down while Egwene is holding her so tight. And that's the end of episode 3. It was a great episode, absolutely great episode. For so many reasons. Nynaeve's whole trial was giving, it kind of was giving, I win again, lose there. And it was always like she was taking L's right and left. And it was just like, but she kept on fighting. And I really liked it. It was kind of I win again, lose there. And that's what it was giving, the kind of vibes it was giving me. And, it made me think of, the whole 5 possible dragons storyline from the first season, where, all of these people, Matt, Perrin, Egwene, Rand, and Nynaeve could possibly be a dragon. And I still think that they're going to basically make Rand the dragon, but it's a lot of different connections. And even now, Ishii basically has connected the dots with Perrin, that he's special too. And sooner or later, like Moraine, he might realize that, okay, all of these youths might have something to do with it. You know what I mean? And, I don't know about you, but five possibles in a spade's hand is never a good hand. But at the same time, the way they're setting up the conference, everything, it might be interesting. I'm also interested in the way that they're setting up a confrontation between Egwene and Leandrin. I felt that standing up to Leandrin is definitely going to put her on Leandrin's bad side, and the fact that Leandrin is pretty much defying Swan Sanche right and left every single time she gets a chance to. I wonder if Leandrin is going to basically play the Elida Dovrini Avron. If she's going to play that character in this storyline for the books, for the TV series. I think that would be interesting, very, very interesting. Or they could be building up for another character later on if they decide that Leandrin's not going to be the big baddie in the tower. But I don't think that makes sense. I think it would make sense if Leandrin was that character. So I'm here to wait and see and, be steadfast and see what they decide to do. But either way, I appreciate it. And, I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for you all for stopping by for my Wheel of Time Season 2, Episode 3 review. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Share me with your friends and rate me if you're listening to me on the podcast. I really appreciate it. It will definitely help. I'm just trying. I'm starting for baby steps, but I would like to be able to run sooner or later. So all the help that you guys get me, if you enjoy what I'm giving you, go ahead and help me back with all of those. You can definitely follow me at CallMeNakomi on Instagram or CallMeNakomi1 on X. And you can write me anytime you want to at CallMeNakomi@gmail.com. Please remember, you can find me on YouTube, and you can also listen to me at CallMeNakomi World on podcast. But until next time, please take care of one another, and may you always find water and shade.